Shalom, beloved family. It's your girl Sophia, Spiritual Light, and we are here with a very different um, sort of message. Um, and I made this cool, cute little graphic, and we're going into another phase of things, so we have to take things in a different phase, and so this is a more advanced message. And much like Sister Ramona and Halima, if this thing is not quite for you, you're not ready for advanced strategies and techniques, you may not want to indulge in this message. It is an advanced message. And it requires action, which is why, you know, we're calling this time period the Tiny Toons Offensive. And this is Operation Elvira. And this came into my head when I was driving back to Florida, and it was just like I saw this flash, and I'll love you and hug you and squeeze you to pieces. I was like, oh. Operation Elvira. We gotta apply a different kind of pressure. See, because this is the thing. First off, first off, if you don't know who Elvira is, if you don't know what Tiny Toons is, first of all, that's they changed the spelling, and anyway, that's a Mandela effect thing. But it used to be spelled Tunes, then they changed it to Toons, and then they covered it up to make people think that they were crazy. But it did used to be spelled Tunes. But just to keep with the this is so we're gonna go underneath the radar with this because ain't nobody talking about nothing like this. This is action. This is a call to action. Let me first say that. This is a call to action. I am what you may think of as a special teams coach. I'm not calling the plays. I'm not coming up with no plays. All I'm doing is listening to the head coach telling me that it's time to send the kickers onto the field. That's what special teams coach does. And that's what I'm doing. The head coach is telling me the Holy Mother and the Holy Father are telling me it's time to send our kickers onto the field. And you guys are the kickers. I'm the kicker too. If nobody else can kick, I got to get out there and kick that daggone ball myself. So we're never going to be without a kicker around here. I don't know how football really goes, but that's how we are on this. That's how we are. And I've already done some of the kicking, so I know what it's like, and so I'll be able to hopefully provide some remedy and some suggestion on that how to do the kicking. But this is the y'all know what happens. These angels, they're all trying to get their words out at once. This is the Like I said, this is a Tiny Toons offensive. Why the Tiny Toons offensive? Well, technically, that's what we are. We're smaller versions of our overself. So basically, to our overself, to the angels, we look like the Tiny Toons running around here. If I'm big Bugs Bunny, I'm looking down at little bugs. I'm like, man, this dude is wild. Look at this man. He's doing all the wildest stuff, primitive stuff. So this is the Tiny Toons offensive. This is very primitive things that we're going to be doing. However, Elvira, as opposed to some of the other characters, is quite interesting. First, I want to point out that as you can see, she has on the colors of Zedek and she has on the color of Lavana, which I never noticed. And her hair has the color of Madim, which is actually very interesting because my grandmother, she always had she for a long time had red hair. And then I won't say when I first started my dreads, but when I went into um the music industry, my dreads were all red, bright bright red. And I use it as a way of look, if you approach me, it's going to be some danger. Don't approach me just because I'm nice and I sound nice and the words that come out of my mouth are not, like the rest of these people and I talk well, that you're going to come over here and get an easy ride because I'm about to whip you into doing whatever it is that I want. That's why I had my red hair. And Elvira has red hair. And also, if you notice, she's got a little skull on her bow, which I never noticed until now. So I'm like, wait a minute. She coming out full fledged with Zadette, with our girl Gaira, with Eve, all kind of big Eve energy, big Adam energy, big aggressive energy. Then she got a little skull on her head. Man, this ain't nobody to play with. They looked at Elvira, the animals would, and they would say, oh, she looks this, she looks that. Nah, we going at it from a totally different perspective. We going at what she actually did. So if you go and you look her up, you'll see she wasn't nothing to play with these animals, man. Once she got her eyes on a little animal, she wanted a pet so bad. She got her eyes on a little animal. She would tear that bleeper up, man. But how did she do it? This is the offensive that we're coming in on. She would trick the animal into coming close to her with something, whatever. She would snatch the animal up, and then she would say, I'm going to take you home, and I'm going to love you, squeeze you, and hug you to pieces. Now, that sounds aggressive, but it's also like a little bit shocking because you're like, wait, this is a kids show. Like this is why us millennials are so angry as it is. This was a kids show, man. This little girl was messing these people up. I mean, everywhere you turn, she was messing people up. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take her her strategy, her approach, and apply it to some things that we need to do. How is this? First of all, I believe in my heart that we are not ready. And I know everybody thinks that they're ready. I'm not ready. Let me put this. I'm not ready. And the reason that I'm not ready is I have yet to subdue the earth. I can be fruitful, meaning I can take something and take nothing and make it into something. I can multiply. I can take that which I have made into something and make it enough to stretch, as i.e., feeding the 5,000 with the 2 loaves of bread and whatever, seven fish, 2 fish and 7 loaves. I mean, 7 fish and 2 loaves of bread. Sorry, which adds up to 9. But anyway, sorry y'all. This I just got congested this morning. I'm able to do both of those things, but I have not subdued the earth. And I realized that I knew that I did not subdue the earth because when my guardian angel came out and said out of my mouth saying that they wanted this Range Rover, I couldn't automatically identify where they came from. Whereas I should have been able to. I did not. First, I blamed myself that I was wrong. Then I said, no, I'm not wrong. I should want nice things. Then I said, that wasn't even me. So I have yet to subdue the earth. And if subduing the earth means subduing yourself, we all have a lot of work to do. And as I discussed with the sister, if we were ready, we wouldn't be here. So clearly we're not ready. So this is kind of like a message. I wanted to deliver this message because I don't want people to give up just due to the fact that they're tired of fighting in the battle. And I think we're all tired of fighting in the battle because we don't have a clear strategy for this battle plan. So this battle plan is effective from now until the Gentiles' Valentine's Day, which is why we have the heart on here. So you will associate this goes from now until then. And then if the mother gives me another strategy for after that, then we'll move forward. But this is the battle plan from now until then. We're going to be Elvira. We're going to love. We're going to lure them in. We're going to love them, hug them, squeeze them to pieces. How are we going to do that? First, you need to do that with yourself. Now, this may seem cliche because everybody is talking about it, but it is the truth. You need to subdue yourself. You need to know what subdues you. You need to you need to work on being able to subdue yourself. What do I mean by this? Before I left out of town, um, which is why I was getting in the right direction, but that comment just totally threw me off. Before I left out of town, this is gonna be crazy, but my middle daughter made a giant mess in her room. Now, all day they were sitting around all day because I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off all day, trying to go to the stores and pick up stuff and last minute stuff I needed to do before I left once I got the rental car. So it's time to go. It's like three something, four something. I finally get back in the house and I'm like, okay, let's go. I go and look at the room. The room is a mess. When I say a giant pile of trash, basically. And so I started yelling at her because I'm like, what is wrong? Why is this room like this? What have you been doing all this? Because mind you, I've been out the house since like 7:30 in the morning. I never came back. But I told her always, you're not leaving the house if your room is a mess. That's just not an option. That room was a big giant mess. So I was here yelling at her and she's crying and I'm yelling and she's crying. So again, I'm telling her she can't go because her room is a mess and this and that. And my oldest daughter comes in. She's like, "Okay, just stop." I look at her. She's like, "It's over. Like it's already done. Let's just go." And I was like, "Okay." I walked away. I was like, "You know what? Give me 30 minutes." And I walked away and I said, "Well, y'all, you got 30 minutes to get this room clean." That's what I said. And I said, "You have to help her. You got 30 minutes." I walked away. I came to my room. I burned some incense. I sprayed myself with my holy water. I said, if I didn't say Psalms 51, I said Psalm 23. I can't remember. Probably Psalms 23 because it's shorter and I remember it. I said Psalms 23. I um I did my breathing technique, which I'll discuss a little bit later, and how we're going to use that. And I just calmed myself down. So it took about 30 minutes, and then after that point, I just said, okay, all right, let's go. And the room was clean, and I gave her a tablet, and we got in the car and we left. So I would say that was a great victory in my me being able to subdue the earth of myself by being able to take myself from this high anchor point to no anger point. And then it was crazy because then the next later when I was driving, I heard Dr. Sirius talk about how people were so upset and angry and this and that because it was it was the 21st. And that's an emotion that comes through on the 21st. So I was like, I felt less, um, I felt less bad that I got upset because, that's just kind of like a byproduct of that particular date and the change of the season. So I was less upset at that. So it was very, very interesting. So I ended up, we just got on the road and it was fine. I just didn't bring it back up. I just moved on. And like I said, that felt like subduing the earth. Now, my oldest daughter did intervene, but if she had not intervened, I probably would not have been able to subdue myself because I was just so upset the fact that this room wasn't clean after a whole day of sitting and doing nothing and keep asking me, when are we leaving? When are we leaving? When are we leaving? You never cleaned your room. You can't leave and go nowhere. But that wasn't the point. The point was I could see that I had half of the part of being able to subdue myself, but I still didn't have the trigger point of when to go into, hey, you need to calm down and not be so upset about whatever it is. You're gonna have to just lay low for a little bit. So I still didn't have that quite have that trigger point. And then of course when the angel came out of my mouth and was like, yeah, they won't believe me until I have a Range Rover. That was another trigger point for me because like I said, I never even thought about that kind of vehicle, having that kind of vehicle. I didn't know how much it cost. Of course, I've driven them because I was a valet, so and I've seen them. But as far as like how much it costs and all, I didn't know none of that stuff. I just like I had no idea. Like I said, I was a valet at some high end places, so I think I did. Well, maybe I didn't personally drive it, but my employees. Well, I was kind of like a manager, so employees did. for sure. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I think I actually did drive one once I went back and looked at a different video. I was like, oh wait, yeah, because those things like you can't park them in the garages in DC because they're too big. They're taller than the clearance, so most of the time you have to just leave them on the ramp. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. That's why I don't remember like driving it and parking it. It won't fit in the garage. So, um, anyway, that's beside the point. I just wanted to point that out. That's beside the point. So, what is operational virus? So, this is a like I said, I'm calling this a Tiny Toons offensive. This is an offensive that we're launching. I'm launching it, and people can join it just like with the fast. You can join in with me on this offensive, or you can, not. It's up to you. I'm just, calling the special teams to the field, and you know, and laying out the plan that I was given. And this is an action plan. This is not a fasting plan where we're asking for something. This is an action plan. We're going to go out into the field and really do some stuff. So, um, and this is not new because I already mentioned this. The first part, again, is to um, strategically harvest energy from the Gentiles' events from the inside out. So, what does that mean? That means in some cases protecting yourself. You've got Mary Magdalene, you've got Gabriel, Eve. You've got all these protectors. You want to go in to an event with some Gentiles and harness all of the energy and direct it towards whatever your goals are. So it's very helpful if you have a set list of goals, things that you've been asking for, so on and so forth. um, and if you don't have one, that will be the first thing that I do is get yourself a set list of goals, things that you're trying to accomplish, things that you want, whatever the case may be. Like me, I have my retirement box. I have my list of stuff, that I've been asking for since the fast, the Take Back the Kingdom fast. And I'm still asking for the same stuff. I haven't seen all of it yet. So my list maintain my list remains the same. I see things going in that direction, but until I actually get that stuff, it's going to stay on my list. And my list, like I said, is very specific. I probably need to revisit my list. But anyway, long story short, get yourself a list of things that you want, things you're trying to accomplish, what you want your life to look like, that kind of thing. It's very, very important to have a specific list, as specific as you can. So like one of the things on my house is a house, has a certain number of bedrooms. It's in a certain location. It's this, it's that, this is what I want to be able to do on it, all of that. Very, very specific. I had a specific car on my list, but of course my guardian angel wants a different car, which is fine. So, that is now being upgraded on my list you know, um, and so on and so forth. You want your list to be as specific as possible so that when you harvest the energy, you don't have to think about what you're directing it to. You just say, send the energy to the things I want on my list so that I can get the things on my list. I mean, you can do each item individually or you can do it separately, but you want to direct the energy towards the items on your list. And so how I suggest doing this in the midst of the Gentiles events or holidays or whatever is you want to just sit quietly for a few minutes. Now it can be loud around you. You by this point you should be able to um, quiet your body. Even if it's loud around you, music and all of that, you should have enough discipline to quiet your body and to quiet your mind. And if you don't, you should work on that. So if you have to do it in a quiet place, then go to a quiet place and do it. But by this point, you should be able to do it in the midst of a bunch of noise too. You should have control over your mind like that. So you want to quiet your body and close your eyes. And this is the meditation technique that I've been using ever since I heard it from that guy. And it is quite effective. I just added a little bit to it to for our purposes. And so what I do is as I inhale, I'm asking for, I will say, well, first of all, My inhales and my exhales is much longer than most other people's because I'm a singer. So I can inhale over the course of a minute and I can exhale over the course of probably almost 2 minutes because I'm a singer, so when I do it, it's a little bit different than other people. I have a very long exhale. I have a long inhale, as just like I said, due to being a singer. So when you inhale, so if you can't do it for that long, you just want to keep repeating the words in your head, so you don't have to feel like, oh, I have to be able to say my whole sentence before I start exhaling. No, you just want to. It's based. You're repeating the mantra in your head to like focus on it. So like one easy one that you could do that applies to most every situations is saying, I am so happy and grateful that I have everything on my list. I'm so happy and grateful that I have everything on my list. So me, I would, as I inhale, I am so happy and grateful that I have everything on my list. And then I would exhale that out. And while you exhale, you listen to the sound of your breath as you exhale. So as you inhale, you're inhaling and you're inhaling that electromagnetic fluid basically because in Bardon's book, Love It or Hate It, he wants you to control your electromagnetic fluid by feeling it on your skin and feeling the fire on the inside. I more so look at it um like members have said, if the rays are being shot down to this planet, that means we're swimming in electromagnetic fluid. I don't have to create this is the Gentiles. I don't have to create electromagnetic fluid. I'm swimming in electromagnetic fluid. So as I breathe it in, I'm programming that electromagnetic fluid with my request. And then as I exhale, I'm releasing that electromagnetic fluid to the universe to bring me back what I asked for. And you don't have to do that a lot. You just do it for a few breaths, a few seconds. It's just, and you don't be, like all ceremonious about it. This isn't offensive. Remember, this is an operation. We are special operators, special teams. We go in, like SEAL Team 6, we take out what's going on and we keep moving on. So this is one way you can do it. You go out into their events, you harvest their energy like that. The second way you can do it is with we'll call it daily prayer time, but you can turn that into daily mantra time where you do the same process. You breathe in, you breathe out, you listen to your breath as you exhale, and you're sending that message to the universe. Because what it seems like that is as you exhale, the thing that you've requested is being translated through your vocal cords, but you don't know how to speak that language. So I noticed that when I ask different things, the sound comes out of my mouth differently when I ask different things. And so that's, starting to just learn that language of the breath. That's kind of like just, a little byproduct of that. And so you do that as a part of your, so like this morning, I harvested all the energy of these Gentiles Christmas and I requested it to bring me the things on my list to bring me my desires, you know because I already have a list. I already know what it is. And then some things I went through one by one, but mostly I just say to bring me the stuff on my list because that list is pretty ingrained in my head by now. It's the same list I've had. So that's the second way you can do it. And then, of course, the third way you can do it is as a part of a spiritual bath. So, if you're going to take a spiritual bath or a spiritual shower, take a few minutes and just do that breathing exercise and then rinse the water over you, the salt water to kind of seal it in. So those are three different, plays you can run in this offensive. That's just breathing. Another thing that you can do, or um that's just for bringing that love to yourself. So doing yourself, right? Because, like I said, I use this breathing technique as a part of calming me down. I also use incense. I highly recommend you get an incense regimen, not just, oh, I have this incense and I burn it, but no, like an actual incense regimen. Like every morning I burn this incense. Every middle of the day, I burn this incense. Every night, I burn this incense. If you can't burn incense at work or whatever, I understand. But if you're home all day, mornings you burn one, Afternoons, you burn a different one. At night, you burn a different one. There's something about the incense that affects our frequency and also helps with mental health. And so we have to really become incense connoisseurs. I have a bunch of incense right now. I showed y'all mine, but I'm going to do a separate video where I talk about my incense regimen. But you need to, I would highly suggest developing yourself an incense regimen. Third thing I suggest is a pillar candle or a 7 day candle, 7 day jar candles. Um, uh, that you continuously burn, especially at this time. I have a candle holder that I bought specifically to hold these big, tall pillar candles, and I've been burning them for the mother. Um, this is my third candle now, so they last a little bit, maybe a week or so, maybe a little bit over a week. And I'm able to get messages um, from that too, not just from the way that the flame moves, but like right now, I have a bunch of soot at the top of my candle holder, but only at the top. And that has a spiritual meaning. What that means is that the evil was overcome. Whatever it was overcome. And so this is the second time this has happened. The first time, the last candle this happened with, it was only over. The soot was only over the place where Mary Magdalene's sigil was. This time, the soot was over all the areas where I have writing. So that means, which is not the whole candle, but it's like a little bit over half of the candle has writing towards the top. And so it was over the whole area that has writing. It was not over the area that doesn't have writing. So that tells me that the angels came in and were able to defeat this level of evil that was still sort of lurking around here. And there's still some stragglers that need to get out. And that's why I've been doing this particular method of doing the candle, because I can get messages from that. Also, why I mentioned, I have been talking about reading the incense flames, reading the incense smoke, palms, and all that stuff. All those things come into play. You just want to be familiar with it. You don't have to remember every single thing about it, but make yourself familiar with those techniques because you never know during this offensive when you're going to need those skills, like especially with the incense. When I do my incense, I actually take my incense and um I walk it around my room to see if I do that first thing in the morning. I take my incense around the room, and if you looked at that post, if the incense moves freely, that means there's no spirits. If the incense is in a straight line, that means there's something there. So that's just me doing a check of my room before I start doing my prayers and all of that, that my room is clear of any infernal spirit. So that's what I also mean by like protection. You got to do stuff like that so that you're not giving away your game plan to the enemy because you didn't check to make sure that there were no spies in there. You never know until you check, and that's a way of checking. So, the other part of this offensive, once you have subdued yourself, I would say mostly subdued yourself, then you want to go, like I said, out and do it with the Gentiles and start subduing them with the same strategy of the breathing and whatever that I talk about. And it's not just that, but what I need people to start to understand before we actually get into some of the stuff that's going to be coming up next year, what I need you to understand is the only way out is in. There is no way out of this system. There's no way off this planet. For anybody, we're not getting out. We're not getting out. What we are is going to get in. Now, the way that you get in is a mindset, is a mental thing. And this is why I'm so concerned about my brothers and my sisters giving up, being tired and not you know c- and not enduring until the end. Like I said, my choir director used to always tell us, the battle is not given to the race is not given to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, but to the one who endures until the end. And enduring to the end is not I'm sitting back with my popcorn watching the show, not enduring to the end. Not enduring to the end. Enduring to the end means that you are, like one of the sisters said, believe I was doing in a dream, you are slicing off heads, sticking knives, all kinds of stuff, all the way up until you are snatched out. You are snatched off planet. If you're not literally fighting this battle